Jason Cronover hit me up on Twitter and said, who needs to step up on the Tennessee offense with Jalin Hyatt and Cedric Tillman going to the league? Two-part question. He also asked, will the offense be as good as last year? So there's a lot to unpack here, so we're going to kind of take it segment by segment. But I'm a firm believer that in order to figure out who has to step up, we have to figure out what we lost. Got to figure out what to replace before we figure out who can replace it. And so I look at Jalin Hyatt, and the first thing is there's a ton of production, right? I mean, 15 receiving touchdowns, over 1,200 yards. Like, the dude was a stick of dynamite for them on the outside at receiver and playing in the slot. Like, he did it all for Tennessee. A ton of production. But from a gameplay standpoint, I look at Jalin Hyatt, and what he brought to the table was putting pressure on the safeties. Like Lightning McQueen, speed, and more speed. That was who Jalin Hyatt was. And the reason why that's important for this Tennessee offense, they run the ball really effectively. And so when those safeties creep up, you got to be able to have that pop play. Like the branding of Tennessee's offense last year, what you probably think of in your mind when you turn on the Sports Center highlights at night and saw Tennessee's highlights from their game, was Jalin Hyatt probably catching one or two deep bombs from Hendon Hooker. That was how they lived offensively. That was what made them so explosive and allowed them to score 44 points a game. So who has to step up to replace Jalin Hyatt? What you have to replace is the speed and the pressure he put on the safeties and ultimately those explosive plays. So that's one facet of it. With Cedric Tillman, you have to replace the physicality that he brought to the outside. 6'3", 215 pounds, just a grown man playing out there. And you can't teach big. You just can't teach it. You either have it or you don't. The good news for Tennessee fans, and this is kind of a two-sided coin here, you already have seen Tennessee step up with different players on this offense to make up for when Cedric Tillman was hurt last year. Never a good thing when one of your best receivers is hurt, but being able to kind of have a preview of that with a guy like Brew McCoy stepping in, we'll talk about that in a second, that's encouraging for Tennessee fans. So what you have to replace, the production and the speed of Jalin Hyatt, the physicality on the outside with Cedric Tillman, both the blocking and in the red zone being able to win 50-50 balls, got to replace that. So who steps up and replaces that? I'll tell you in just 1 second. But Tennessee fans, y'all have been rolling with us here now for a little bit, and we're so glad to have you a part of this. If you haven't yet joined the party, you haven't yet subscribed to the On3 YouTube channel, listen, there's no time like the present, baby. So lock it in. Make sure you're subscribed. We're live on the air tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. We want you a part of this. So come on back here at that time tomorrow, and we'll have a good time. We'll talk some college football live in living color. So to the question at hand now, who is going to be the guys or the guy to step up and replace what was lost? For Jalin Hyatt, I am looking very squarely at Squirrel White. And Squirrel White, we saw a preview last year in the Orange Bowl. 9 catches, 108 yards, 1 touchdown. The key word, like I was saying with Jalin Hyatt, is speed. Squirrel White has been tracked during practice going 23 miles an hour. Folks, that is speeding in a residential area. So for Squirrel White, the task will be to kind of replace that explosive play ability that Jalin Hyatt left. You don't need to do 1,200 yards, don't need to have 15 receiving touchdowns, but from the way that we play the game, we need to know that when those safeties creep up, we need Squirrel White to win one-on-one in the slot and to go and get those deep touchdown passes from Joe Milton. That's going to be a key part of this offense. Making good on the matchups and making good on when those safeties creep up, when the defense tries to commit to stop the run. That's what we need to have there. So Squirrel White, his speed and his skill set, I think mirrors in a lot of ways what Jalin Hyatt brought to the table. Got to have that home run ability. Now, like I was saying with Cedric Tillman, the size component of it. It's a huge piece you got to replace. Brew McCoy last year, I thought, did a really nice job stepping in when Cedric Tillman went down. Now, is Brew McCoy Cedric Tillman? No. They both offer different things in terms of what they bring to the table from a skill set standpoint, but Brew McCoy is 6'3", 220. He can go win that jump ball. He can go body up that corner. He can make you have to honor that size on the outside. And when that becomes a factor, like I was saying with Cedric Tillman, the same thing is true for Brew McCoy with how you have to defend him in the red zone. If you want to go man up with him in the red zone, like, good luck to you, but you better bring your hard hat and a lunch pail and make sure you're clocked in early because it's going to be a long day at the office. You want to go man with Brew McCoy. In the red zone, I think that's Brew McCoy's advantage every single day, and that's just how Tennessee likes it. So this is one part of the question. Who has to step up? I think Squirrel White and Brew McCoy. two guys you're looking to stepped up in different areas a season ago. They're going to have to step up even more so in 2023 with the departure of Hyatt and Tillman. The other part of this question, though, was can Tennessee's offense be as good as they were in 2022, where they scored 44 points a game? Now, obviously, the most crucial variable to this whole conversation is Hendon Hooker has also gone to the league, the one who played quarterback for you and engineered this offense to the success they had last year. So the big piece of this is how does Joe Milton play, all right? And that probably goes without saying, but I want to make sure we mentioned it for the sake of this video. Now, in terms of skill players, there's one individual who I think might be the best kept secret in the SEC, and that's Dante Thornton. Transferring in from Oregon. I mean, he's 6'3". I believe he's somewhere in the neighborhood of 210 pounds, so he's got that size. He also can fly. Like everybody in Knoxville is speaking in hushed tones because they're very excited about what he brings to the table, and they don't want to tip off the national folks just yet about what he's going to be. They like the fact that he's the best kept secret. But for Tennessee to achieve the same kind of statistical numbers prowess that they had in 2022, it's going to be because Dante Thornton steps up and achieves what a lot of us think he could achieve with his playmaking ability and the issues he presents to the defense. And the reason why is because, think about it this way. If you have Dante Thornton, Squirrel White, Brew McCoy, all on their A game, and then Joe Milton is a version of what we saw in the Orange Bowl, that is too many issues for a defense, too many issues for a secondary to try to keep up with. If they all bring it how I think we could, see them bring it, then we're going to see them right back in that 40-plus points again. Now, the big thing for Tennessee, this is nice, and you'd like the offense to be explosive, but you saw the offense be explosive last year. And a lot of good things happened, but now you set your sights on an SEC title and getting back into that college football playoff conversation. Like, that's what Tennessee now sees as the next step. They're not here just to be in the conversation. They want to actually make some noise here and get in the dance. And the way that happens is the defense gets about 5 to 10% better. Depending on how much improvement you see on the defensive side of the ball, Jason, I'm going to be real with you, bro. I don't know that you need to have 44 points a game offensively. It'd be nice. You'd like to see them live in that 40 points a game range, but the offense doesn't need to be as good as it was last year. I mean, if you're scoring 40 points a game versus 44 points a game, you're probably living in the same kind of world anyway. If the defense improves, that's where things get exciting for Tennessee. So to recap it for you, Brew McCoy and Jalen Hyatt Brew McCoy and Squirrel White have to step up for what Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman left last year, production-wise, but even more so gameplay-wise. But if Dante Thornton, if they hit on him the way that I think a lot of people believe that they hit on him via the transfer portal, Tennessee offense is going to be scary. But it all comes back to how much more that defense can improve. Just a little bit. Don't need a lot of it, just a little bit of improvement on the defensive side, especially in the secondary. But I promise you, we will keep an eye on this. Make sure you're locked in right here. Get at me on Twitter. This is where we answered this question from. At JD Pickell is where you can find me. Also find me on Instagram at JD Pickell. But listen, we're back on the air tomorrow morning. We're live 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. Going to be a real good time. Looking forward to seeing y'all there. So we're going to keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.